Welcome, lambs! Surprise! This is a Throwback Thursday episode of a previous case. 19-year-old Sade Robinson vanished after a first date with 33-year-old Maxwell Anderson on April 1st, 2024. The next day, her severed leg was found near Lake Michigan. Over the following weeks, more of her remains were discovered. Maxwell was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and arson. His trial was set for May 27th, 2025. So this case is an update of the case of Sade Robinson. If you want to hear the entire case, pause here and click the link in the show notes below. The initial episode will let you know how we got here. If you join the Patreon, you'll also get to see case extras like pictures of the evidence and a video of the trial. Patreon.com/loveandmurder. Now let's get into this case update. The trial was initially set for December 9th, 2024, but on December 2nd, the defense requested a potential change of venue request due to pretrial publicity. In court, prosecutors argued that all three charges against Maxwell were connected and should be tied together. Judge Laura Crivello agreed, stating that the evidence related to the arson was relevant to establishing the homicide. However, the judge granted a delay, calling the discovery process a mess, and rescheduled the trial for May 27th, 2025. At an April 18th pretrial hearing, defense attorneys claimed a forensic expert believed data from Maxwell's phone suggested he was using the internet at home during the time someone else was allegedly driving Sade's car. Prosecutors disputed that claim. According to the criminal complaint, investigators believe Sade was intentionally killed and dismembered to conceal the homicide, placing her time of death between arriving at Maxwell's house and the movement of her phone towards Waremount Park. Prosecutors said Maxwell initially lied to police and that digital evidence contradicted his statements. They also noted that Twisted Fisherman was not randomly chosen for the date, as Maxwell had texted about stopping there to pick up a W-2 and had previously worked at a restaurant. Now, all of this was in the previous episode. I'm just going over some of the things that were mentioned in pretrial. So now let's get into the trial, which finally started on May 27th, 2025, so they kept the date the same. And it didn't appear that they changed the venue because it happened in Milwaukee County and lasted nearly 2 weeks. Over the course of the trial, jurors heard from more than 65 witnesses and were shown extensive evidence, including the cell phone location data, surveillance footage, digital records, and physical exhibits recovered during the investigation. Now, if you listen to the previous episode, if you don't remember it, the link is in the show notes below. Then I went through all of that, and it was extensive, and it did prove guilt. So if you don't remember everything that I went through, you can go ahead and pause here, click the link in the show notes, and go back and listen to the initial case. From the beginning, the prosecutor's case focused on intent. Prosecutors Ian Vance Curzan and Megan Newport walked the jury through the timeline of April 1st, 2024, using phone data and surveillance to show where Sade went after her first date. Just as importantly, where she did not go. They relied heavily on the Life 360 data, cell tower pings, and camera footage to show Sade's phone moving from dinner to a sports bar to Maxwell's home and then later to Waremount Park. Jurors were shown surveillance footage from Milwaukee County buses, including video of Maxwell walking away from the area where Sade's Honda Civic was later found burning, and later boarding a bus to return home just blocks away. Prosecutors also presented evidence recorded from Maxwell's own phone, including deleted photos of Sade appearing incapacitated, as well as a sweatshirt he wore the day after the date that contained both his DNA and Sade's. In closing arguments, attorney Vance Curzan focused on the brutality of what happened and what it revealed about intent. He told the jury, quote, "What kind of a person cuts someone's head off? A killer who's trying to get away with killing. There's no question about the person responsible for doing it. The killer. It's him. The defense, led by attorneys Tony Cotton and Jason Finding, did not call any witnesses. Instead, they focused entirely on what they argued were gaps in the state's case. Well, the state had 65 witnesses. You have none. Attorney Cotton told jurors, quote, "I didn't see any evidence of an intent to kill Sade," pointing out that Sade's DNA was not found in Maxwell's home and that Maxwell's DNA was not found in her burnt car. He characterized the case as, quote, "the most difficult I've handled in my 20 years of practice in law," explaining that their strategy was to highlight unanswered questions. Quote, "There were certainly flaws in the state's case. Our job is to expose and identify those flaws." Maxwell did not testify. At one point, he told an investigator that a stranger must have kidnapped Sade after she left his apartment, a claim prosecutors directly challenged using digital and surveillance evidence. Like, the stranger looks eerily like you, Maxwell. The jury deliberated for just 45 minutes across 2 days. On June 6, 2025, they returned guilty verdict on all counts: first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, hiding a corpse, and arson. Maxwell remained seated as the verdict was read, blinking and swallowing, but otherwise showing little reaction. After the verdict, attorney Vance Curzan said the investigation had spoken for itself. Quote, "When a case is investigated the way this one was investigated, the evidence just spoke for itself. While we are satisfied with this verdict, our hearts go out to the family of Sade Robinson." The lead investigator, Detective Joanne Donner, also testified during the trial. Afterwards, she spoke about how deeply the case had affected her, saying, quote, "I lived and I breathed it." She admitted that not having a specific murder weapon or an exact cause of death was increasingly frustrating, even though she knew, quote, "in my gut," that Maxwell was responsible. When the guilty verdict was read, she said, quote, "I did go back to my office after the verdict and I had a good cry." Attorney Cotton said that he believed there were, quote, "a lot of unanswered questions that the jury might not be able to resolve." Sentencing took place on August 1st, 2025, and the courtroom was filled with grief and anger as Sade's family addressed the court. Her mother, Sheena, spoke directly to Maxwell, quote, "My daughter referred to you as a man. You will never be an effing man. You're a pussy-ass bitch." That's what she said, not me. I mean, I agree with her, but that's what she said. She begged him to disclose the location of the rest of Sade's remains. Quote, "You've already done the worst. You can at least give us that much." Sade's father, Carlos, told the court that prison did not feel like enough. Quote, "Everything that he did should be done to him. No man should be able to live after what he did. That's just how I feel. I can't get past this." Her sister, Adriana, spoke about how the case changed her life, saying she now lives with constant fear. Quote, "I cannot meet any person without the fear that they're going to harm or kill me. All my sister did was meet someone, and as a result, he ended her life." Maxwell spoke briefly, maintaining his innocence and announcing his intention to appeal. That son of a... Instead of apologizing, even saying, like, even if he said, "I apologize," like, I'm innocent, but I apologize that y'all are going through this or something, he could have at least said that, but no, he just spoke briefly, maintained his innocence, and said, "I'm going to appeal." Quote, "I did not commit these crimes. I plan to appeal these crimes. While I hope and pray that further investigations not only prove my innocence, but find and deliver true justice." I mean, that's hollow as... You need to explain all the surveillance footage catching you in certain places. Just, oh my God, it's too much circumstantial evidence. You know what I'm saying? It's too much. He said he never sought a plea deal because he claimed he was innocent. His father, Stephen, also addressed the court, telling Maxwell that the family loved him and supported his plans for self-improvement. Judge Laura Savello was unmoved. She told Maxwell, quote, I don't think you're remorseful in any way. She described the crime as unconscionable, saying, quote, "It's beyond imaginable to know whether your child is dead or alive, and then learn they're dismembered and disgraced is beyond understanding." She sentenced Maxwell to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 7.5 years for dismemberment and 1.5 years for arson. The charge of hiding a corpse was dismissed at sentencing to avoid double counting. And now this case is finally resolved, even though Maxwell says that he's going to appeal. What do you think about this case? Do you agree with Maxwell and think that he's innocent? Or do you think there was enough evidence to prove his guilt? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or you can head over to the Patreon and leave it over there. You can either sign up for free or join the Lamb Fam via one of our paid tiers and leave your comments there. If you sign up starting at just $3 a month, you do get bonuses like commercial-free episodes, intro-free cases, and case extras. Like, for instance, in this case, there are pictures of the evidence and a video of the trial. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Plus, you become a voice of the victim by helping to keep this show listener-funded. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Now, before I go, I do want to clear something up. Apparently, and none of y'all messaged me and said anything, so nobody's complaining, but I saw this myself. Apparently, I was so sick that I didn't realize that I'd put out the episode of Dominic Dunes back in November. So I apologize to you. When I say I was sick, I was sick. Chills, pain, sweating through my clothes and bedding for 4 days straight. And by the time I could walk, I was severely dehydrated. So I even had to deal with that. And even now, I'm not better, believe it or not. I keep coughing throughout this whole episode and I keep having to delete it. In this episode, in Monday's episode, I'm not better yet. But I just wanted to make sure that y'all had an episode though. And I thought I checked to make sure that I hadn't put this out to the public yet. But apparently I was delusional or something. I don't know. So I apologize, and I hope that y'all forgive me for that. I really was trying to do what was best for y'all, and I guess I dropped the ball. So I apologize. Please forgive me. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you that even though I made this mistake, 0 people complained. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next case. Bye.